Hello everyone. In today's session, we are going to cover the MDX time functions. Those are to-date function, which is where you can calculate the YTD. Sorry, there is no HTD. So QTD and MTD and WTD. So YTD is nothing but year to date, and QTD is nothing but quarter to date. MTD is nothing but month to date, and then week to date. So likewise, we also have D to D, so date to date time function and HTD, and those functions are not available in the cube, those two, whatever I mentioned. But apart from that, so we have two date functions are available, which are very handy to fetch the data based on the time selection. So basically, these four functions will provide the running totals uh, or whatever the period that you select till to that date, it will fetch entire your data. So data in terms of your measures data, which can be like sales or orders or shipments, any of the your measured data. In addition to that, we also have additional 5 functions which are available. These functions are very handy to calculate or address a lot of business problems like rolling 12 months data or previous time period data. So if you want to bring those kind of metrics, right, or those kind of analysis if you like to do, so these 5 functions are very handy. So those 5 functions are closing period, opening period, last periods, parallel period, and the last one is the periods to date. Let's get into the each function in detailed way. First we'll go to the YTD function. So before we go to the YTD function, let me write the regular query that we write in the every session, right? So where we bring the reseller sales amount and then calendar year. So here I fetch the all my reseller sales amount at calendar year level. So I have the 4 years information is available in the cube. Now the second statement, I'm using the YTD function. So the usage of the YTD function. So usually we use the YTD functions or these to date or all these time functions in the calculated member. First, what we need to do, we need to use those functions and aggregate the data based on our requirement. For the YTD selection, YTD function, I've aggregated the data of the reseller sales amount for the YTD level. Now, I use this measure under the select statement. Now, my scenario, I'm trying to fetch my H1, I mean calendar semester information for 2013 year. Let's see what will happen. Here I got the H1 calendar year 2013's reseller sales amount as well as my year to date information. So what happens here, it will aggregate the data from January 1st to the H1. H1 will end in the June, right? Till end of the June, it will aggregate the data and display under this measure because we are using the aggregated function. And similarly, the next query, what I am doing here, I'm using the quarter. So where I'm trying to fetch the reseller sales amount for my 2013 Q3 data as well as my YTD data. So in this scenario, what will happen? First, it will bring the Q3 reseller sales amount and then it will aggregate the data for the previous quarters, which is 2013 Q1, 2013 Q2, and 2013 Q3. All these 3 quarters information will be aggregated and displayed under the measure. So those 3 quarters sum is equals to 26 million, approximately 26 million. Now moving on. So the next step, instead of calendar quarter, this time I'm using the month. So where I selected the December 2013. Now what will happen? So it aggregates the data from January 2013 to till December 2013 and display under the YTD measure. But here for December month, it seems there is no reseller sales amount. That's the reason it's showing the null value. So to avoid that confusion whether we have whether this function is working at month level or not, I selected November month in my second query. Now you can see here, now the data is aggregated under the YTD measure from January to till end of November, and also it displays the data for November month. Moving on, so here, as I mentioned in the previous slide, right, so it's not only you use the sum function, you can also use the aggregate, that is the function which is very handy. Usually the default behavior of the aggregate function, if it is the data type of the measure is decimal, it's automatically sum it up. If it is a integer, it's automatically apply the count of functionality. So either you can use the sum or you can use the aggregate function to aggregate your data. So here I'm just executing the previous statements by selecting the month. So this time I didn't apply any filter on the month. Here I am taking the all the months information. Now you can see here in the result set the data is started displaying from December 2010 and then ended on 2013. So each level what will happen, so the YTD function, it will aggregate the data for that the month, let's say this is my current member, December 2013 is my current member. It will take 2013 as a reference and it will identify the entire year information. It will get aggregated and display under the YTD measure. Let's say its aggregation will start from January to December, it will display here. Similarly for 2012, it will aggregate the data from January 2012 to December 2012. So that's how the YTD function works, and even you can not only time dimension, you can also add other dimensions to your query. So in this scenario, I added the product category. So product category wise, I'll get my month wise reseller sales amount and the respective year to date aggregated sales amount. And these functions, it's very mandatory that we select the time hierarchy. Either you can choose calendar time hierarchy or physical time hierarchy, but time dimension selection is very important. Then only these any of these time functions will work. Now you look at here, this query I didn't selected any time dimension, where I selected only the product category. Because of that, the measure, the YTD measure is not able to aggregate anything. That's the reason it's showing as a null values. Now moving on, so next function is QTD. QTD is also works like a YTD. YTD, it will aggregate the data from entire year, but QTD, it will get aggregated for quarters. Okay, so whatever the quarter that you selected, it will aggregate the data for that quarter, or below the quarter, if you select the month, it will bring the that particular month value, as well as if the month is belongs to so and so quarter, it will bring the aggregated value for that quarter. But using the QTD, you cannot fetch the year to date information. So always remember that if you are in the QTD level, you can select your aggregated value quarter level or below the quarter level. You can select a month, or you can select the week, or you can select the day, then only it will work. But if you select year level information and then you're trying to use the QTD, again it will fetch the null values. Let's see the first example. That is the where I choose the semester, first semester, but I'm trying to use the QTD. Now you'll see you will get the null values because semester is the higher than QTD, higher level of the QTD. That's the reason it's not able to calculate the QTD value. Now, second query, I choose the third quarter. Now this time it will fetch the my Q3 information as well as the data is aggregated at QTD level. So both are same because it's a single quarter that we selected and we are trying to use the QTD function. Now if I select the month, December 2013, now December 2013 we don't have a reseller sales amount, but it will bring the aggregated data for October, November and December and display under the QTD measure. So same way it will work, but this time I choose the November, but this time the results will vary because since I choose the November for this quarter, the QTD, it will bring only data for October and November and it will get aggregated. You can see here if I executed these two statements together, then you will see the difference. Oh, sorry. Yeah, irrespective of, sorry, I take my statement back. Yeah, even though if you selected any month for that quarter, it will bring entire QTD value. Okay, so that's the thing. Now moving on. So here again, instead of sum, I use the aggregated because that's the default behavior. Anyway, it will do the sum of the value. But this time I didn't selected any month. So what will happen? I'm trying to fetch the data, my reseller sales amount at month level. Okay, each month it's displaying, and then you will get the rolling quarters information. Now you can see January 2011, February, March. These three are belongs to the one quarter. Now here you can see here first month January data displayed as it is, and second month it will sum up first month and second month value and then display here. Since we don't have a sales for the February, it's just displaying the same value. I mean, basically, right? So if you sum up these two values, that's the total of it will display here. Similarly, and if you sum it up these 3 months value, that's your 3.5 million will get display here. Likewise, it will aggregate the QTD value for those months and will get displayed here. And then moving on, so next one is the, again I'm trying to fetch, I'm trying to use the QTD measure along with product category. You can see here, and it's the same. So product category level, again it will fetch the QTD value for selected specified months. And then same thing, the QTD also won't work if you don't select any time dimension in your select query. That's the thing. And then moving on to MTD. So MTD is again same behavior how we observe the YTD and QTD, but this time MTD will aggregate the data at month level. Okay, so here also you cannot select um, a higher level than month. You cannot select the YTD or QTD function to fetch the data. Again, it will throw the null values. So all the time you need to use either month level granularity or week or date level granularity to perform the MTD. So now here what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to fetch the data for November 2013, and this time also you will get the reseller sales amount and your MTD value is same because it's only 1 month I selected. Now if I go to WTD, so this is the where I selected the, you know, Date information for this date. So ideally what will happen for the YTD, so either you can select the week, the respective week information. Below the week it will be the date. Date will be the your lowest granularity. Okay, so you cannot select month or quarter or year for the YTD function. It won't work. It will throw the results in null. So now in this scenario, let me see which are the days I have the data. So in August I have a data for 29. Let me see because it's very important, right? So I'll take 11, 08 and 01. Now if I execute this, maybe August 2011 is might be, yeah, since I don't have a data for really day level, I cannot reproduce the things properly. So basically what WTD will do, so if you're selected like one day date in your select statement, that the date will be belongs to the particular week, right? So what it will do, it will aggregate entire the remaining dates information and display under the white WTD measure. That's how the aggregation works with the WTD measure. So that's about YTD, QTD, MTD, and WTD. So let's move on to the remaining five functions, time functions. Okay, I'll post all these scripts in the description of my video, so you can copy these scripts and play in your local with sample data. Let me know if anyone is facing the challenges to install the SQL Server or to attach these sample databases in your local. So you can directly email me or message in the comment section, so I'm happy to help you. Okay, so let's move on to the closing period. And before we going to the closing period, one of my previous video already used the most of the like parallel period function and last periods and some function to calculate the rolling 12 months. So once you complete with these going through these functions, these five functions, I would request you go through that video and see how we are calculating the rolling months information, so that you will easily digest what scenario we can use these functions. Okay, so the first function is the closing period. Basically closing period fetches the last sibling value of specified member at specified level. Again, sibling, what is the sibling function, or what are the siblings, that you can check in the my video posted in the link in my card. You can click that card and in the description section, and you can go through that video and then try to understand what are the siblings. So how to use the closing period for now. So I used my closing period under my column in the first query. You can see here, so closing period, basically it will take the level, which level you want to get the closing period information for specified member. In the first query, what I'm trying to do here, so in 2013, that is my calendar year, at month level, what is my closing period? December will be my closing period for 2013. Now if I execute here, it will fetch the data for the December. Okay, December 2013. Since we don't have any reseller sales amount, okay, so the reseller sales amount is the default measure that is mapped in the cube. That's the reason, without selecting any measure, it still fetch, the select statement is trying to fetch the measure values. That is the only difference. Please kindly observe that. Okay, so here, moving on, the second statement, I use the reseller sales amount. Okay, if at all I want to use any specific measure, So this is how we can use this closing period along with measures. You can define many measures along with reseller sales amount. That's not a problem. Now the next one is the uh, so this time what I want to fetch for 2013, I want to bring the reseller sales amount for closing quarter. So now you can see here the closing quarter for 2013 will be Q4 2013. That's where it brought the data. Similarly, if I look at quarter level, so this time what I did, the quarter level I chose, but I'm trying to fetch the higher level information. So here you get the nothing because calendar year is the higher than the quarter, right? So the closing period won't accept in the backward direction. It's always you need to use these functions from top level to bottom level, then only these functions will work. Please remember that. Now moving on to next function is the opening period. So basically opening period is it will just fetch the it's a first sibling, not last sibling, first sibling value for specified member at specified level. So in this query what we are doing, so for 2013 year I want to fetch the first, I mean opening period information, which is January month information. Now it will bring the January 2013 sales amount for that level. So here the level will be month and member will be the year 2013. Okay, so that's how the opening period work. So closing period will bring the last value and opening period will bring the first value of specified member at specified level. So instead of month, if you change to quarter, so what is the opening period for the um, 2013 at quarter level? It will be Q1 2013. Now moving on, the last periods. So last periods is actually fetch the rolling periods information for the specified member at specified I mean at same level. So here I mentioned 2013, that is the year level that I choose. I want to fetch the last two periods information. So that will be 2013 plus 2012. You will get the data. And similarly, I mean here when I given the index is 2, uh, it take the reference of current member and it go back to the previous member and it brought the two values. But if you use the negative -2, then it will go to the forward direction. So this time it will bring the 2013 and 2014 information. So not only that, you can I mean achieve the same scenario instead of last periods. If you don't want to use it, you can use the range function to bring the data. Okay, so range function works in this way: starting point and ending point. The range function is nothing but between clause in the SQL if you compare with SQL. Okay, that is the difference. And moving on to the parallel period. Parallel period is how many periods data. Let's say you choose one period, that is your specified member, and if you want to bring uh, you want to go back to the 2 months and bring that particular month data. Let's say December 2012, that is my selected period. I want to go back to the 2 months, which is nothing but November is first month and October is the second month. So now you will get the second month data. How many periods you want to go back, you can mention that in the numeric expression, and then what level you want to go, you can choose. Either you can go back to the 2 quarters, 3 quarters, or 4 quarters, or 3 months, or 4 months. You can mention the level here, either quarter or month or date, and how many uh, periods you want to go back, you can choose that, and then you can mention your specified time period. And similarly, -2 will help you to go forward direction. Okay, so it will bring the February, that is your future month, right? For the specified member, December 2012 is the specified one. January and February will be your -2 month, that will be your future month. And then periods to date, that is the last function. So it will fetch the periods data for specified member at specified level. So here I am choosing the December 2012, that is my specified member, and entire if I take the calendar year, so it will bring the periods to date. So entire information, year information, it will fetch like this. So it start from the January and then it will end in the December. So this is how the periods to date it will work. um, right, so all these functions it will work with other dimensions. If at all you want to combine with other product dimension, geography dimension, you can fetch it without selecting any time dimension. In your select class, these functions won't work. Kindly note that. Okay, so that's the beauty of these time functions. And that's all for now, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.